So it's Frank, right?
Mm-hmm.
What month are we looking for the walking tour?
Um, of your brochure's back. Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Beautification Committee to order. We'll go down to item 1, call to order. Maricruz, please. Mari Caballero. Here. Richard Carranza.
Present.
Romeo Robles.
Here.
Olivia Ramirez.
Here.
Frank Santana.
Here.
Okay, thank you very much. We go on to item 1B, Invocation. Let's take a moment to silence our minds and open up our hearts. Lord, we praise and thank you for all our many blessings. We know your goodness and your mercy is ever present. As we gather here today for our monthly meeting, we ask that you help us to make decisions that are not only pleasing to you, but are for the betterment of the citizens of Pharr. Let this meeting be productive, and as should be the case in all areas of our lives, help us to keep you at the forefront of our minds as we do the work set before us. Amen.
Amen.
All right, thank you. We go on to item 2A, administrative approval of minutes. May I have a motion on the floor once everyone has a chance to look at the revised minutes? And I need a motion and a second on the approval of the March 19th minutes, please.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, has everyone had a chance to look at those, or
If
do we still
everyone's-
need more time?
We're good.
Okay.
Second.
Miss Olivia? made a motion to approve the minutes for March 19th, and Mr. Robles seconded the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion passes. The minutes for March 19th, 2019 are approved. We go on to the minutes of May 2nd, 2019. I'll give you a moment to look at those, please. Are we good? Is there a motion on the floor to accept the minutes of May 2nd, 2019?
I so move.
Okay, Mr. Carranza makes the motion, and we need a second on the floor, please. Okay, Mr. Santana seconds the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. The minutes for Tuesday, May 2nd, 2019 are approved as read. All right, we go on to, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We go on to administrative, item 2B, the Keep Texas Beautiful State Conference, June 18th through the 20th, Rockwall, Texas. Mr. Cano, do you know if the girls are going? Miss Cindy Puente, after all, and Miss Crystal Medina? Okay, very good. So, committee, we have one of the administrators, assistant department head going, so that's wonderful. And Miss Cindy Puente and Miss Crystal Medina. So that makes us very happy.
Very good representation. Excellent.
Okay. I'll be joining you. I'll be joining you at the conference as well. But I'll be also staying with my son in Dallas for a while. So, but I look forward to the conference. Does anybody have any questions on the Keep Texas Beautiful conference that's coming up in Rockwall? Nope, we're good? All right. Okay, we go on to, thank you, Mr. Cano. We go on to item 2C, discussion and possible decision on downtown mural. Okay. We visited a few murals here in Pharr. And they're right. The first one we visited this one is located, I believe you can see it in front of you. It is located at the main Pharr Library here in downtown Pharr. It was commissioned by a businessman, I believe a lawyer, and not from Pharr, but he approached various libraries in neighboring cities. He wanted to donate a mural, and we were the city that was receptive, and here it is. And it's a beautiful depiction of much of our culture. So we wanted to show you that. The next item, the next mural, okay. There we go. This mural is also at the Pharr Public Library here in downtown. It is on the extreme upper left is Mr. Kelly. Below him is the old depot, train depot. Of course, we're all familiar with the All-America City logo. Upper right, the building is the first City Hall, and which is right across the street from our current City Hall. The gentleman on the extreme right is Mr. Pharr. And then the logo, of course, all of us know and see that logo almost daily. Valley Fruit Company's beautiful neon sign that's in front of what is currently now the food bank of the Rio Grande Valley. This is a different type of mural. It is very historical in nature. So that is why I wanted to show you these. Both in the same building. This one was commissioned, I believe, by the Friends of the Library, and it is an artist out of McAllen. Beside it, I just added this picture, very, very much valley with the palm trees and the bougainvilleas and the I don't know if you can see it from here, but the population sign on the lower right-hand side is the city of Pharr's population sign. I am guessing it was reading like, there you go, like 38,000, or it was, this picture is quite old. There you go. Yeah. So the next one is, this is at the DRC. It is in that back gym area on one of the walls. And again, the artist that did the big one in the library, their brothers, their two young men, they did this one as well. They were commissioned to do this one. Again, very much many aspects of our culture in our area. From there, we ventured on to Harlingen to take some pictures of the murals that are located downtown. Of course, we could not visit all 20, but if you open up your brochures that you have before you, you'll be able to see the year, the name of the mural, and the year and the artist. The year it was created and the artist. So for time purposes, I'm just going to keep, you'll see that they have a map where all these murals are located and they're numbered, and then it has a little bit of information on each. This one is called Welcome to Harlingen's Downtown by Chris Valdez. It was done in 2005, and it's got the address where it's located. It's created to greet visitors to the city center. This is all in downtown Harlingen. So we're going to continue. There you go. This is the historic Route 77, Route 77. Again, there's those hotels have names, and I imagine they're names of the local hotels of the time. Back in the day. So it's quite interesting to see that up close. I don't know if you can, Chris, get close to one of the hotel names up on top. There you go. This is a better. Sun Valley Motor Hotel. And of course they use things that were reminiscent. I guess ours would be like the Texan, the big Texan.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we'll go on to the next one. Okay. This one, you're like wondering, that's not a mural. We got up close to see what these murals are made out of, and they're wood panels. And if you can go back again now to there you go. If you look closely, that big mural they're smaller panels that were actually nailed up there, like a little puzzle. And they're done on wood, and they're adhered to the wall.
The buildings.
And that's kind of an up close look at what they look like. Okay, this one is a Day of the Dead rendition, and you're going to notice each artist has their own flair, their own design idea of what they want to do. Yeah, there you go. Okay, you see, this one chose to highlight the wildlife that is found. You know, Harlingen is known for its resacas, and there's a lot of water around the Harlingen area. So these are shorebirds and life that could be found along resaca, or the water, the inlets that are in and around Harlingen. So this artist decided to take that route. These are all along they use walls. They use, you know, this one is a Feldman's, and this is a series of, I believe, 7 panels, 7 different murals all along this long wall. And as you see, it faces a parking lot. So this was the old hotel in the city center. And then I took a picture to the left, and these are all the panels to the left of that mural that was in the center. So again, they touched on different buildings that were of the time, historic Harlingen, and then that's to the right of the center panel. And just very interesting. And this particular artist did note the name of the building or the name of the business and what it was then and what it is now, which I thought was pretty interesting. Okay. This park is a pocket park, what we call a pocket park. And it was interesting to us because obviously we find ourselves in the midst of trying to figure out, we have an amphitheater here in the north park of this city hall. And it's got a lot of concrete, right? The walls. So this was fascinating in the sense that this is somewhat in a semicircle, and it was created actually to depict the history of Mexico and mankind. But it was a project that was brought into Harlingen that Harlingen got awarded. But again, from my angle, I was trying to highlight that this is a pocket park. They did something with concrete. So now we're going to go to the next slide. This is what it says. You know, it's basically the there you go.
Reflection.
It's basically telling you when it was what it is. It's the city of Harlingen gratefully acknowledges the many individuals, et cetera, et cetera. So it's what do you call it? What do you call it?
What
Just this would be like a big announcement of
It's
what you're
plaque.
seeing.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so this is the inside, and these are panels made by tile. They're colored tiles. So the artist had to design what he wanted up there based on the historical aspect the historical aspect that he was trying to highlight, and then he had to adhere these tiles to his design. And each panel leads you through a time period. So why is it fascinating to us is we were thinking, well, maybe we could do a historical walk through of Pharr somehow. So now you would have not just an art exhibit or an art mural, you would have a mural that also educates by taking you through a little walk through history, the historical aspect of Pharr. Again, just an idea. And those big blocks are opportunities for you to sit down and take in the art. You see the blocks around the perimeter of the circle, the other half of the semicircle. You can actually sit there and just view the art if you wanted to. Of course, there's no shade there, so it was brutally warm this morning.
And the history's on the floor.
And the history, you can see down at the bottom of it, there you go, that. There's that black, it's like a black granite. It has the information of what that panel is describing, or what the panel is supposed to show the viewer. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. There's Miss Olivia. And I wanted you, and the reason why she's probably saying, why did you include me in there? I wanted you to see the size of the structure of the art wall versus the size of a person. You know, so it's pretty cool. All right, thank you, Chris, and we'll go on to the next one. So then in the middle, there's the information on the artist, the university that gave the city of Harlingen the exhibit, how he came up with the information, his research, the media he chose, Tile, how long it took him, et cetera, et cetera. So I
Beautiful.
thought it's pretty cool. And that's just an example, kind of a little bit more up close. So the information on that tile is written on that granite piece before. There you go. Very good. Okay, so this, ironically enough, is in back of a furniture store. This is the back of the furniture store, but the artist chose to put the mural there because it's, look at the railroad tracks, right? The railroad tracks running through there, and it's called The Early Days. It is by Germaine Steed. Key to Harlingen's early development were Hispanic pioneers, water, and the railroad, which arrived in 1904. City founder Lon C. Hill watches over Harlingen's development. The city's tallest building is shown under construction in 1927. So there's actually, there is a man, you can see the gentleman, that's Lon C. Hill. We've all heard of Lon C. Park. Okay, you need to go a little bit to the left. There you go. There he is depicted. And of course, the tallest building is the one on the right. There you go. So there's the water, there's the train, and then you've got the historical aspect of, they said pioneers, water, and railroad, which arrived in 1904, critical to the development of Harlingen. So again, there you go. Another one called Live to Inspire on the side of, I don't know, was it a?
It's a cafe.
It's a cafe, right? So this artist went very modern, right? And the next one is the Longhorn.
It's also cafe.
It's also a cafe. You could barely see that Longhorn because there was a huge mesquite tree overgrown in front of it, and it took us a while to find it. We couldn't find it, but there it is. It's called the Rio Grande Grill. Nope, it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, and okay, so this is not a mural. What you're looking at is one of the main streets there in downtown Harlingen. But if you can see, Chris is getting close to that orange arch over the main road there. It's called La Placita. So you drive, it's a one-way, and you drive through it, and I guess it kind of gives you the idea of us when we have they finish up with the development here in downtown Pharr, the renovation, there's going to be an arch going over to the other side of the street, and I just thought I'd take that to show you that Harlingen has one too, but it's in a smaller scale. On the extreme left, where the palm trees are, and to the left, you'll see the park, and I think the next picture shows the park better. I'm not sure. There you go. It's a downtown park, and there was at that hour of the day it was being used. Pretty hot, but it was being used. And I think that's it. Okay, thank you, Chris. So there's a lot of different ways we can go with this. I think that we need to set some parameters on do we use a local artist, do we not, do we like the historical rendition, do we not, do we want to go modern? I think that those parameters we can set, because there's definitely there's an abundance of artists that we can tap into. I just need your direction so we can, there's plenty of people we can go with and we present them the ideas. I know that I talked to Ms. Vela. She was part of the historical committee, and she says, would love to see Esperanzas. And then Miss Olivia here also mentioned, that's our city flower. We need to incorporate Esperanzas. And if you see on your shirts, the Esperanza is on the logo. So, I need those kind of we need
Palm
those kind of
trees.
parameters, you know, do we want to make sure it has palm trees? Do we want to make sure it has some of the founding fathers of Pharr, some of the buildings, historical buildings? And then we tell the artist what we're looking at, and they will create a matique, a muestra, a sample. And then if we want it 20 feet by 30 feet, or if we want it 2 feet by 3, you know, the size really isn't the issue. It's what do you want it to have? And that's where we need to just be in agreement and say, this is what we're looking for, and we go with that. So I'm gonna open the floor, any ideas?
I would as far as the artists are concerned, I would strongly suggest that we look at local artists, particularly those coming from our own school district, because there's plenty of talent there. And of course, that doesn't mean we're just gonna, you know, limit it to the school district artists, but that would be, I think, one start.
One place to look at, I mean, like, yeah. Anybody else, any other ideas, suggestions with the artists? What about the content?
Yeah, I think it needs to be historical in nature, definitely. That depicts the history of Pharr.
Anytime we have historical murals or art and stuff, that always brings a lot of interest.
Mhm.
And so I also agree that we should look at the historical aspect.
Okay. Any other things that you'd like to see, you know, added in there? I know historical is important, but do you want to see
The,
something with palm trees or no, or?
Well, I think, yeah, and looking at that
Depot.
picture of 281, you know, I guess you said it was an old picture, but I kind of remember the highway looking that way.
I do too.
You know, palm trees, one thing that probably has to be in there. Agriculture, because that's, you know, that was the backbone of this community. And, you know, even though you can find it in the historical aspect, I think that that's one thing that we also need to incorporate.
Used to be citrus trees, yeah.
And I think we also need to definitely incorporate the bicultural aspect of our city.
Was that a local person that did the Halloween murals? Do you recall?
I believe that it is.
Those were nice and colorful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the location? Where's the location?
Here at City Hall, either, again, that's gonna be another, you know, decision that we need to make. Do we incorporate it into the concrete wall? Do we put it up against, you know, just nice and big against one of the walls along the building? Do we set up something like the semicircular thing where it becomes an educational work of art and a place also to sit?
That's a good idea.
I think a
know.
logical place would be there at the amphitheater on that concrete wall that faces north, because if you do the south side of the wall, there's not
No
enough
one's
room
gonna
to
see it.
appreciate it. It should be up against the building. And so while we have that space available and bare, I think that'd be a logical place to.
So that is the one that's the concrete wall that's to the north.
Right. And it's kind of in a half moon shape, a crescent moon shape.
And that amphitheater, they believe will be used. You know, so people will be having to get to it, and that is gonna be something that's gonna be used. And where would,
Very
that would be a
lighted.
logical place,
Mhm.
pardon?
And very lighted.
It should
yeah.
be lit too, I
Right.
believe it be lit.
Very, what's going on there, it's gonna attract people. Especially once you all, brainstorm it and pick the historic,
Mhm.
depictions of the picture, I think it's gonna be great.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I think at the library, they have a historical book as far
Yes.
as what, you know, that
Yes.
pertains to
Mhm.
Pharr.
Yes.
Okay.
Suggestion would be maybe getting some old pictures from there and have, like past, present, and
True.
future. Like you mentioned, something that educational, where they can see how it looked in the past and
Mhm.
how it looks
Right.
now, and how we maybe see it in the future.
Mhm.
You know, like, I did not know. Can you go to the next slide? Thank you, sir. I did not know. I've admired that building. The one to the
Mhm.
right. I admired that building for so long, I didn't realize that was the old city hall. And I even learned, I mean, I've lived here longer than I lived in my hometown of Edinburgh, and I didn't realize that. It's now an attorney's office, or what is it being used at?
No, the old Pharr drug, no, I think, doesn't Ruben Escobar own that, is architect?
Yeah.
Architectural firm, that's right, it's an architectural firm. I had no idea.
It used to be a pharmacy or something.
It used
Yes.
to.
Like local drug.
Mhm.
It was, actually Pharr drug was the name of that.
Have you all walked into that building? It's immaculate.
Really?
You go in there, you don't need, we drop off, pamphlets for, just for board member that's there. And it's, nobody's at the front to greet you, but as soon as you walk in, I mean, you just go, it's real
Wow.
nicely kept.
Wow.
Mm.
That's
Old.
amazing. I learned personally more about my community visiting, you know, seeing that. And, I mean, yes, I appreciated the big mural, it's real colorful and stuff, but this was, you know,
And actually, catty corner to that, I don't remember this, but I've just seen pictures, where the fried chicken places,
yeah,
that used to be the city park.
really,
Used to be what?
the
city
city
park.
park. Where Churches is?
I remember Sykes Grocery.
The one, what was it, Sites and then Drefkey? Well, cause remember, this was HEB,
This was HEB?
yeah, Security State Bank and then HEB.
This
And
was an old
then
HEB?
It was Sites, but later it was a Drefkey, I think. Drefkey's had a supermarket.
Wow, that was way back.
That's amazing.
Wow.
And you know, it'd be pretty cool if we could have somewhat that historical information in front of it. You know,
Mhm.
like upper left-hand corner, you'll find this, or, you know,
Yeah.
the significance to the,
Well, Mr.
the yellow
Connor says that
flowers
they
are
have-
Esperanza, you know,
they
our
have
city,
that.
pardon?
Mr. Connor says they have that library.
Yes,
So
yeah,
we
but
need to-
when, you know, and it becomes an
research.
educational piece, ¿verdad?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll move forward with, looking for, and we don't want any, okay, so then that's the other question I have for you is the style. Okay, you've got, of course, historical. You've got the, you want more of a, you don't want it to be, what did you say the other day when you said, now that's graffiti?
Yeah,
You know, you don't want it, you don't want historical modern, you want historical traditional.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying, you know, cause you can go historical and modern, and you can do historical graffiti, you know, kinda with that twist for the
Mhm.
youth, but you want historical, traditional. We're in agreement with that.
I would say yes.
Okay. And we're all in agreement that this is happening. I mean, there's no need to take a vote, it's kind of been a
Mhm.
mandate, but anyway. Historical, okay. Traditional, okay. All right, well then, for the next meeting, we will have researched, we'll have researched, our historical aspects that we wanna give to the artists, and have given, tried to at least reach out to 3 local artists. And, we will probably need some direction from Mr. Robles on maybe the art teachers, if you know of any, that maybe I could contact, that they might know of some either former or current students that went through their programs within the art departments that are talented. I've walked through some of these schools have beautiful murals, and the students did them themselves. You know, so that would be pretty amazing. And that way we can bring some ideas back to the table, so we have this progress going.
Right.
Okay? Anybody have any more questions, suggestions, ideas before we move on? Okay, we're gonna move on to then, administrative, which is item 2, and down to D. the status report on our recommendations by the Beautification Committee on our South Pharr trolley ride. Mr. Cano, do you have any updates for us on that?
No, ma'am, no, I don't.
Okay, all right. Mr. Cano says no. Okay. This is just to recap this. We had done the survey. We had looked at all of them. We reviewed them as individuals. We selected our top 3 that we
Right.
were that we found that were probably of immediate concern, and so it was the signage at the port, South Cage. There's needs to be some. We were hoping to have some sort of signage there. It was suggested. The truck signage on 281 on Cage, because we're still seeing a lot of 18-wheelers being stopped on here and down. They're not seeing the signage, so they're coming in through town, and then they get pulled over, and that becomes more of a traffic problem for most of us that live city center. And the third was the DRC. The DRC still lacks signage. We were there yesterday, so just we know that for sure. So yeah, the DRC.
Do we have any idea when there may be
Um,
some sort of, this is-
I believe not, right? With the DRC.
By next meeting, I will,
Okay, we are just, like yesterday, I think we even pulling into the parking lot, there was nothing saying this is the DRC, and then coming up to the building, there's the big numbers of the address, but there's no actual, this is the Developmental Research Center, or just DRC. And then walking up to the door, there's no, there's hours, I believe, the hours are there, but there's no still, you're entering, the DRC or nothing. So from a distance, as you're approaching the building, or even coming into the building, so. We had to go to the building to take the picture of the mural that was in the back gym area. So we decided to take a drive out to the port entry, and we stood there in a parking lot, and I'm wondering who owns that. There's a green fence, chain link fence on the east corner. It's a piece of land, and it's got it's a green chain link fence, I believe, and it's got an address on there, but it's vacant. But there's a chain link fence on the southeast corner of South Cage and military. Yeah, and of course then there's the right of way, and I guess that on the right of way is where we would want the signage to, as you're coming in.
It used to be a truck storage for.
Oh, they used to park the trucks there.
He used to charge for the storage, but then it got kinda costly for him to maintain with the heavy trucks and stuff, and he just took it off.
Yeah, there is nothing there. It just
Little palm trees.
Landscaping,
Yeah.
that's why you got those little
palm trees. Well, they're pretty big now. I mean, they're nice. It's kind of like, well, what was in there? Because somebody took time to place those palm trees, and they're all along the outside of the chain link.
We did a yearly inspection for a CUP purpose, for
Okay.
conditional use permit.
For that. So we were wondering, I wonder, who owns this? Obviously, and it had an address, so we knew it had been a business or something was going on there. Okay, so we'll hopefully, next meeting, we'll have some information on that. Okay. We move on to administrative, item 2E, which is the status report from Public Works. Mr. Recano will fill us in on what's going on.
Good afternoon, members, ladies, gentlemen. What I have to report is for our OCS that we had, the past was on the May 18th at the Pharr Sports Complex, which was located at 100 East Moore Road. We did not have a very big turnout as far as volunteers. We only had 5 volunteers at that time. Again, reason would be school was already out, and we couldn't get any more volunteers as far as that. We did collect 47 tires and 9.6 tons of trash for that day. Our next OCS will be June 29th at the Public Works on 1015 East Ferguson. That'll be at our facility.
It's same hours, right, sir?
Same hours, ma'am.
Okay, so that is June 29th at Public Works, 8 to 12.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to tell you that May 18th, I know that a lot of your volunteers were high school students from what I've seen. And there was probably, a lot of them are involved, they're collecting their hours for NHS and whatnot. And a lot of them too are probably attending, dually attending college, and of course STCs having graduations and whatnot. And possibly too, they've already collected all their hours for their necessary organizations in order to get their SASH, that they need. But I'm being silly, but.
No, but May is a tough time to try to get anything done. There's so many activities going on.
So don't feel bad. Don't.
And usually we do get a good turnout. We get anything from 20 to 30 students that go out there and they'll go out there and clean up. Another thing that I would like to make a note of is we were with code enforcement as far as helping them or assisting them in a cleanup that they have at Citrus Bay. On that one, we did collect 158 tires, and we had 2 roll-offs that were picked up by Waste Management. On that one, I do not have a count as far as how much trash was picked up from there, but we did help out code enforcement on that.
Can you, again, say those figures? How many tires?
158 tires
Wow.
in that neighborhood that were collected.
That's what stumped me. I was like, wow, okay. And then you said,
We had 2 roll-offs
2 roll-offs, okay.
that were picked up by Waste Management. On that one, I don't have a count as
On
far
the
as.
tons of trash.
On the tons of
Yeah,
trash.
that's okay. That's a lot of tires. Can you, not too familiar with where Citrus Bay is?
Citrus Bay will be on the north side of town off of Sioux Road,
Sioux Road.
I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, it'll be right behind Public Works.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's Citrus Bay.
Okay. That end. Okay, very
Yes.
good. Okay.
Is it a mobile home park?
It, yes, it is. Or they also have homes there also. They started building it, but before I think it was just mobile homes.
Okay, very good. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Cano on that information? Very good. Very good, very good. All right, and then Mr. Gamboa? Yes, sir, please.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Rick Gamboa here with Code Compliance. We did a trial run for, we've been at it for a while. I think it's been 2 years that we've been addressing the elderly assistance program. We did a little dry run with one of my ladies that I met long time ago, because I got a lot of favorite ladies, that elderly ladies that look for me for special favors. And it was Mrs. West here on North Canna. We went over and we saw the front yard. We thought it was gonna be as low as the back, but the back was pretty high. Took me 45 minutes to tackle the backyard, and everything else in the front was just like a couple of minutes. But we stayed there for an hour and a half. We cleaned it up. She's a little bit, I hadn't visited her in a while, but she's losing her sight. She had kind of glaucoma, so we wanted a picture with her outside. She could barely, so she held off on the little pole that she's got there by her outside her door. But she was willing. She was very happy and very grateful for that. And we have 2 lawnmowers. We got weed eater. We got a blower, and we got enough equipment to establish, I think, for twice a month, if we can get enough elderly people involved in this program. And I think it's outstanding, especially at the end when they see what we did for them, and no charge especially. But it was pretty awesome, and I was involved in that. And it was me, and I think it was five other volunteers and 2 other employees, city employees. But it's pretty good, and I think we're gonna establish that, Ms. Caballero. on Route. We're gonna go ahead and spirit and see how everything goes.
I'm so glad you're mentioning that.
And how do you go about recruiting your volunteers?
We
Because
get-
this is a very worthwhile, noble cause.
Usually our volunteer, sir, which is gonna be just 1 yard, which is 50 by 100, with our code guys that we have and our family members from our team, we'll still be looking for volunteers, but I think the volunteer group is gonna be real minimal. It's about 6 people.
Okay.
And I think we can handle it at this moment. If we expand with our need for elderly assistance, I think we won't have any problem with volunteers.
So glad you brought that up. There was a young lady that came to us a year ago with the idea of suggesting that we do a fundraiser to try to collect funds to buy equipment, right? And of course, I quickly thought of who's gonna take care of the lawnmower, who's gonna take the weed eater. I have so many implements at my house that it's like, okay, the tractor needs to go in, $800 later. So I started thinking of who's gonna store it, who's gonna be responsible for it, who's gonna bring it out every time, you know, okay. Fast forward.
Upkeep.
Yeah, and then I started thinking about liability, right? Because we had talked about the idea of, in partnership with the OCS,
Yes, ma'am.
you guys work that, Public Works works the quadrant, right?
Yes, ma'am.
They know the need. They have their regulars or their ones that, pobrecitos. You get to recognize those elderly that can't get out there to mow their lawn. So we had kind of thought of the idea that in conjunction with an OCS, you know, you've got kids picking up trash, you've got like the one in April, planting going on, recycling, trash roll-offs there, all this stuff, and then a group mowing a lawn in that quadrant, right? So I always worry about liability. Not only for ourselves, but for the city, and also if something happens to the, you know, to the home
Yes, ma'am.
of the person that you're trying to take care of. So I did meet with our city manager and our legal, and Melanie was in that, Melanie Cano?
Yes, ma'am.
It was, so she enlightened me that, and y'all must have been the trial run?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. She enlightened me. I just recently met with them, and just basically quick questions that if we were to do this, how hard would it be to come up with some sort of sheet where you sign off on it, you know? We're not holding the city,
Disclaimer.
you know, a disclaimer. And Melanie was invited to attend the meeting, and Melanie's with, she is developmental services, right? Development services. And she enlightened me that they had actually had a trial run, and so it was like, you know, good, somebody's doing it, and that's all that matters.
Our
but-
biggest thing, Ms. Caballero, was liability forms. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and so she said, initially, I think the agreement between the city manager and our city attorney and Melanie was, the good thing here is that the key people doing it are employees. And so already, if anything were to happen, to them, the liability would fall on the city. You know, I mean, they're already somewhat protected. But we're still looking at it, right? But I'm glad it's happening.
And most of the people, ladies and gentlemen, are people that we meet. We go tag a lot. We find out from the daughter, son, or that they're elderly, they need help, and we have a lot of a personal connection with a lot of them, because we deal with junk vehicles, high grass, everything that you can name. It's in the book. It's we go and knock and meet a lot of people. A lot of people know me, know a lot of our staff, and that's how we.
You develop relationships.
Yes, ma'am.
And so they're the ones that would actually, are perfect to identify these homes or the need. They can identify the need. So,
And one more thing I want to go over. I know Mr. Cano mentioned that we're doing, again, it's called a beautification cleanup we used to have the old program where we just go find a location where there's a lot of illegal dumping and go put it in our containers there, roll-offs. And it wasn't working because everybody was getting a whiff of where they were. It was a business throwing out tires. It was a construction company throwing out tires. So we kind of narrowed it down to it's a personal paper for that subdivision. If Ms. Caballero calls me for her subdivision, she's gonna be in charge of those two roll-offs. She's gonna have 20 signatures from the residents. And what they're gonna do, they're gonna be monitoring the deposits of all but it's only gonna be excluded to that certain subdivision. It's not gonna be a free-for-all. So,
I see what you're saying.
so we had,
People would find out where these roll-offs were gonna be, and even though they're not in that quadrant or residential area or community, they would come and bring their stuff.
and most of them were illegal dumpers, commercial, tire
Oh my
establishments, and
God.
just, it was not working out. Let, Ray kind of be a witness of that. So we kind of narrowed it down a little bit, and, it was kind of funny, because I got pictures from my officer this weekend. They had a little kid in a bicycle, and they bought him a security, shirt, said security, so he was keeping an eye if it was just so it works, and we had the communication of texting with the lady in charge, the manager for Citrus Bay, and me and our officer that was there this weekend. So
That's awesome.
it's
Okay, so it
we're
does
trying to
work.
narrow it down and see. We're just, whenever OCS is, we don't want it during OCS. We want to have another opportunity for them to go and do that. So
Yeah.
that's, I thought I'd share that with you
Yeah,
guys.
I can see how that's important, because even OCS, we're standing there in the parking lot going, a truck after truck, and then they're in their, I mean, I have a pickup too, I mean, and they look like, they weren't commercial trucks, but it's like, how much stuff do you have to throw away? And there was so much in those trucks.
And we see it every day, ma'am.
And so you're saying people will find out where there's an Operation Clean Sweep and just, hey, I live in North Side, but I'm gonna go down to the south side to drop, yeah, so that's why we were getting the roll-offs filled.
Tons
We
and
would drop them off, or Waste Management would drop them off Friday evening. By that evening, they were already full.
Yeah. That's what happened that day.
The night before.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's the difference with OCS and ours.
Yeah.
We drop them off Friday afternoon, we don't pick them up till Monday morning.
Mhm.
For OCS, it's real 8 to
Yeah.
12, it's gone.
Yeah.
So, that's,
But yours is monitored.
yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
Well, it's gonna,
Yeah,
that's the intention, yes, ma'am.
That's the intention. Very good.
That's all I got. Any questions, folks?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Very, very, very nice. Okay. Wow, okay. We're gonna move on to administrative 2F, I'm sorry, the schedule of downtown walking tour. I put that on the agenda with the idea that our goal was to, work on the next quadrant, and since, the downtown park is coming along, hopefully, looks like it's now, last time we had Mr. Alanis here from Parks and Rec, he said it was like 60% complete or so, and of course, that was a few months back. Think they're moving along. Have you heard of when, Mr. Cano, have you heard of when they think that this park may be done?
One on this side or the one on,
Either, the first one, which one will be done?
first one, they didn't give a timeline on that one, but I think they're still lacking the irrigation and the grass.
Okay, which is the north side, right? Okay. They get rolling on that, that's not gonna take very long. We could do, my idea on the downtown walking tour is it's very similar to the trolley, but not to do it in the middle of the day. Just take a walk in the evening, or early in the day around town. And just note, where we could make it improve the city. I know, Ms. Ramirez and I, met a new business, owner, moving into the, Newcomb Avenue. He's renting out, he's taken over the Texan, he's renting it for Mr. Escobar, right? Mr. Escobar. And so it was nice to meet Mr. Barrera, I'm sorry. Mr. Barrera is leasing it out to this gentleman and actually to the son, and it's a relocation of a business. So it was nice for us to meet, they they were excited to move to a downtown area, and Pharr welcomed them, and so they're excited to do that. And we need to walk around and see. I know there seems to be a lot of parking issues. We can also take light of that and see how, you know, really there is a lot of parking issues. So if there's any ideas, I know that summer is busy. But yes, sir.
So, just let them know anytime if you meet somebody like that, we don't have the opportunity to do that a lot of times. But there's also a lot of incentives for
New businesses?
with CDBG, you know,
Okay.
whatever they need for improvements on the buildings, any assistance that they can give them, for utilities, for remodeling. It's not widely known.
It's not advertised.
People,
Mhm.
we're the ones, since I'm doing also voluntary demolitions, they ask for that a lot. So they do provide the free roll-offs for demolitions that you mentioned that earlier, but for renovations on especially all our downtown area, Mario Palomo is taking care of.
Mario Palomo.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, maybe I need to turn, to have him visit with them. I know that they already, which was it was a really neat, after seeing the murals today in Harlingen, they've already got someone that's gonna do a mural for them along the wall that faces east, and so Mana is on the other corner. So it's that wall, it's a big wall, that faces east. They've already, you know, they've already spoken to an artist that's gonna come in and do something there for them. They're doing a lot of renovation work, all on their own. ¿Verdad?
Oh, yeah.
All on their own. Yeah. So, is there any suggestions on this? On a walking tour downtown, or do we postpone it? Do we go ahead and go get our ideas and start working on them? What do you think, Mr. Robles?
I don't know, perhaps, after one of our meetings,
Yeah.
you know, that's gonna be about the coolest.
I
Part of the
think
day.
this one was running long because I showed all the murals, but I think next time, since now we've got a direction, if we could, you know, keep it to like 30 minutes, and we can just take a walk
Yeah,
afterwards.
well, you know, it's, as you drive through town, you know, one of the things that I see is we have, a lot of empty,
Businesses. yes.
businesses. You know, if we wanted to do something, I think we need to look at coming up with a downtown theme before it gets, you know, too, how should I put it, to where the storefronts are just way too different, okay? You know, I think that's one thing that we could do if we wanna look at downtown, and, you know, I don't know what power or what, you know, codes or what restrictions the city has about what you can do or not do to a storefront. You know, for example, these people, with this mural, is it something that's approved or something that anybody can
Right.
do if they want to?
That's, yeah.
And then they come up with something, you know, that's a little bit different.
We, at one time, when we first started doing the inspections for the tire locations,
Mhm.
we were having a problem. I think that was a neat idea, but we got all the tire owners, we all had them all here in City Hall, went over all the rules and regs on what to do and what. I think, if we can get it straight, maybe talk to Mario and get all the business owners and give them a criteria of what's to be done on the,
Mhm.
and maybe help them with the improvements. And I guarantee you, this little area here from downtown is,
Yeah.
will look really, really good.
If you notice the one block across, is it one block across the street? The one block, there's one block where there's a lot of similarities in the colors.
Right,
Or
it's where
there's
I think the
they-
corner
they-
where the upholstery shop is.
Yes, and they complement each other, and, you know, it's almost like there was a pattern that was being utilized. But I think that might have been to try to get one of these awards in the past. And maybe we didn't, you know, then the next store that came in, or the next owner didn't, you know, they just went wacky with something else. But, I was,
That's what they were doing.
you know, pardon?
I think that's what they were doing. They were going for an award.
That were going for an award, and, it might have been the one of the, yeah. the All-America Award, I think, because there has to be a certain guideline, certain aspect to downtown, yeah. So, a downtown theme, storefronts are different. Is there a code that, is there some, you know, is there, I mean, you know, something that we abide by as a downtown owner,
There
you know?
is, it's downtown, he's a downtown, what do you call it, he's got a criteria where you follow, they go, usually talk to him, I don't know how it transitions where they go and talk to him or how it happens, but there is a guideline for that.
Okay, so we can research, I'll research that, maybe bring it to the table next time, just so we can educate ourselves that there is some sort of guideline. And then I'm wondering, like this new business owner, did anyone, like, did he know about it? You know,
Right.
he's coming from another city, right? I think he was coming from another city.
Okay.
But I'm sure, I mean, code is going in there. He did mention that they're going through a series of inspections, so he did mention that. All right, well, I need a motion on the floor, perhaps, after the July meeting, which will go back to, the third Tuesday of the month. Is there a motion on the floor to possibly do the walking tour after that meeting? We'll have a short meeting and then go on. And the reason for this is then we need to, this meeting is open to the public. We're gonna open that to the public too, to let them know. That date would be July 16th. So, do I have a motion on the floor to have our walking tour after the next regularly scheduled meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Miss Olivia motions. Do I have a second on the floor, please?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Mr. Robles, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, then the motion carries. We will have our walking tour scheduled, and Mari Cruz will do a simple agenda for that, and we'll file it with Hilda and all that. Yeah, I'll get with you on that. Okay, thank you. We move on to administrative item 2G, comments and any announcements that anyone may have at this time.
Well, I just want to mention that Mr. Robles' suggestion about a theme for the
Yes.
downtown
Yes.
is superlative.
Yes, it's
I think
right
a
on. the-
wonderful idea, and it's something that we should be able to work diligently on it to produce something worthwhile there. So it's a good idea.
I'm wondering if you think that how possible it could be to get some of these owners, and I'm mostly talking about the vacant storefronts. How hard would it be to get these owners to a table and have, discussion, coffee, buñuelos, something, an iced coffee, a dessert, a lunch, a box lunch, just conversation, to see what is your thought on this building? What does your future hold? How can we fill it? Is there a void there? I mean, how can we help you, help us? I'm just throwing it out there.
That'd be awesome.
I'm not a business owner or anything like that, but I think if I were, I would jump at the opportunity. And I think most of them
Yeah.
would be willing to participate in something worthwhile like this.
Right. So they
We just
can,
need some motivation, maybe Mario can bring them out, man, and we need that.
So Mario, we need, touch base with Mario, maybe invite him to our next meeting, see what he can share with us. Some of these, Mario Palomo,
Oh,
he's
yes, yes.
formerly from Edinburgh.
Yes.
He was a student when you were a teacher.
Yes, yes. No, I know.
He's
I've
from
met
the-
him here before a couple of times.
He's from the Jerry Martinez, Mark Peña, that whole group. That, he would, I don't know the owners of those vacant
That'd be
buildings.
great, man. It's a
And
good idea.
he would, right? He has the ability to find the names, who
Or
they are.
We can with all our data with the code.
Okay, all right. Okay. Anybody else for comments? Anybody have any announcements? I have a couple of comments on, and it has to do with signage and on our streets. Went the other day to pick up my dry cleaning from D&M Cleaners, and most often than not, I'm in my pickup truck, but this particular day I was in my little car, and most all vehicles are bigger than my car. So I'm pulling in front. I'm used to parking and getting down and talking to eyeball with the ladies up front, with Mr. Moore. So I don't like doing the drive-through, nor did I realize that that was the most convenient way at this point to pick up your dry cleaning, given that Newcomb is now blocked, right? So I proceed to pull in slowly. I already had eyeballed the second parking space, but as I pull in slowly onto Newcomb, I was heading northbound on the side street, which is parallel to Cage. I'm heading northbound on the side street.
Ethel.
Yes. Yes. So then I turned right onto Newcomb, and D&M is right here on the corner, right? Well, there's a car that, because of the way the street is right now, was backing up, and it's a taller vehicle, and of course had no idea I'm honking at him. And I'm like going, okay, what's going to happen? Because now I'm turned through my rearview mirror. There's someone behind me now. So finally, they realized that I'm honking loud enough, and they braked. I turned in, and they slowly, of course, now there's a car behind me. You know, there's an issue. So okay, I quietly walk in. I get my laundry and my dry cleaning. Got to talk to everybody. As I come out, I put it in reverse. Well, someone's pulling in real fast, and they almost rear-ended me. You know, I'm coming out as slow as I can, but of course I'm small. So I'm like, okay, I put it in forward, parked it, and I'm like, there's a problem here. There's a problem. Walk in, and I ask them, how often does this happen? I almost got hit from the front, you know, like somebody almost backed up into me, and somebody almost rear-ended me. And they're like, oh, everyday occurrence. And so I'm like, okay. So being a marketing person, I go out there and I start taking pictures. And what happens is that the turnaround, there's 2 people parked there.
It's blocked.
It's blocked, the turnaround. And then, so I'm taking pictures of that, and I notice, of course, there's the fence, right, that's blocking Newcomb, and then there's the parking lot behind City Hall, right? Then that chain link, somebody had moved it, so a truck came through and was parked under the shade, facing northbound, in that like alley that has now been created by the chain link. So one of the ladies had said, oh, and sometimes it's the men from the park, the construction
The guys that are
workers.
working are the ones that park
And
there.
exactly, so I go over there, and so needless to say, in the turnaround, there's 2 cars parked. And over here, there's a sign that says do not park. Well, right on that other side is a truck parked there. So I'm like, okay. I go and I ask, and so yes, the foreman is the big truck that was in the alley, and he just got there. And one of his workers is the one that was parked facing south, but the sign is facing south. It says do not park. The truck is on the north end of it facing south, you know, and I'm like thinking, okay. And the ladies are saying, look, what it is you've got businesses that have come into that block. Not only D&M, there's a counseling service, which I witnessed, families going in there with children. And then at the end of the block, which is the block closest to the City Hall, is a massage therapy school. So you've got the students that are attending the school, and then I witnessed 4 winter, seniors that were parked over by the Pharr Theater that had to cross, had to basically walk a block and a half to go into that establishment. My point is, the ladies are saying sometimes the students are the ones taking up the parking. There's not a lot of parking. So it's the students from the businesses, like the massage therapy, it could be the students that are in there taking the classes, and the people who come to patronize that business have to park far away. The therapy school, the
Counseling.
counseling service, I saw people parked on the other block walking to come over to utilize the services, right? The ladies are saying from DNM that possibly it could be the workers from the counseling service parking there. Marty makes them park across the street, guys, these spaces are for our customers. But needless to say, there's a problem. There's a problem we can't start telling people where to park, but there's a signage problem, because when you turn into Newcomb, no one knows that it's a dead end. One. Two, there's no turnaround, right? There's no turnaround. Today, as I'm coming here, I thought, okay, park by the Southwestern Bell building and walk the block and a half to come to City Hall, which is no problem. But it was pretty hot today, so I thought I'm gonna see if I get lucky and see if there's a spot right in front of the, on Cage, right in front in the shade. My car's black, so, right? I got lucky. But as I'm coming up and DNM is on my right and I stop there, what do you think is happening? It's a one-way going in to DNM and to the counseling service and to, where the massage therapy. There's someone coming out. They're driving the opposite way. And I'm thinking, there's no signage on this. So,
It's a hazard.
and where the two cars are parked, were in the turnaround, they were blocked. There were cars parked there.
The biggest complaint we've gotten from them is
Mhm.
from a massage place,
Mhm.
and it is construction workers from that area who told
Well,
us
today I saw the turnaround that was blocked were big trucks.
our engineering department's in charge of them, and I told them over and over, because they come and call us. Yes, I already told them they're gonna move their car, but yeah, I see them in the morning when I come at 7:30. Right there, I don't know if you
Yeah.
I go drop off your machinery,
Yeah.
whatever you got.
And then move back, exactly. No, I hear you. I will admit that the resident in me decided to make a police report, and I did call the police, and a beautiful police officer showed up, this beautiful young lady, and I told her, look, I almost got hit one way and I almost got hit the other way, and I said, there's gonna be a problem here. And I said, I don't know how to solve it, but I just needed to make someone aware. And so she did. She said she was gonna go door to door, and she was gonna make the two cars that were in the turnaround parked in the turnaround, she was gonna make them move. And I did tell the foreman, because one of the workers I spoke to had some authority about him. So I did warn them that I was gonna call the police, and I was gonna wait at the cleaners for the police. And so the truck was moved, but of course,
Yeah.
that was just for that moment. But anyway, I'm just, I feel bad. We need to keep our small business owners happy, and what I witnessed I don't use dry cleaning that much, but I felt bad for Mr. Moore and the ladies up front, and they're telling their customers to use the drive-through because that's the most convenient for their customers.
I
But
like your story, because you just did a code enforcement, little run, cry run.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
And just a tidbit, the foreman did mention that we're just, como he said it was the engineering department's problem. And I mean, he threw it, he goes, we're just the contractor, and I'm like, okay, but you're in charge here. You can tell them where to park and where not to park. I mean, I told him, I come to do business in this building, which is City Hall. I park over, I'll park a block and a half away, 2 blocks away, but that's where I park. I mean, anyway. Second thing is, when we went to visit with the new owners, the new business owners for the theater, I did see, where the mural's gonna go, that they're proposing, that they're gonna put up. There are no parking signs there, but you can't, they're very faded.
No,
actually,
actual
the,
signs. There's
the
two of
actual
them.
signs, you can't see them.
It says fire lane, no parking, but you can't see it, you can't read it, it's faded.
And I've been guilty to, I hadn't, if she
And
hadn't
so
addressed
people
it,
are- So people are parking there.
my husband and I parked there
And also the
one time.
bottom doesn't say red.
Usually Pharr has a good,
Yeah.
method of going over and restriping the red
It-
space.
That
there-
curb has not
there's-
been
It's
restriped.
not red, there's not at all. It should
So
say
just
fire
FYI.
lane.
FYI.
So people park there, you know, but they were, you know, it's,
And I know that side of Newcomb also has a big parking issue, and I think that sooner or later, we're gonna add some parking on the, east of there, right? Beyond Mandos, yeah, which will help with that a lot, but I know that that's, from talking to some of the property owners there, that's been their complaint.
The one here also, folks, just FYI on, right here where parking area is, our employee parking, across the street, we just blocked that area for parking.
Great, that's gonna be great.
From the church.
That's great. Okay. Any more comments? Sorry. Any more? Mr. Santana, have you gone by the park at all out south? No? Okay. Mr. Carranza, have you gone out to Jones Box at all?
About a week ago.
And how did things look?
Well, I didn't necessarily go out, but the ladies have mentioned it.
Yeah.
The participants have mentioned what, and I'm curious to know what's the status, how,
We went out to Jones Box yesterday, and our plantings are probably, if there's 20% left,
Really?
yeah,
it's all gone.
yeah. The planting that really has survived harm, danger, and maybe the elements of weather are the small little with the little white flower for the lacy butterfly. I forgot. It's a ground cover, so that might have been
The frog fruit.
frog fruit. That might have been overlooked as weed and not pulled out.
That's all it's.
We had maybe a cenizo that was maybe about a foot tall. I mean, it's. Then there was another one. It was disheartening. The wild olive trees are gone. Yeah.
and my understanding is, this was done, the planting was done on a Saturday morning or something? And then within the next day, that evening,
Yeah.
several plants were missing.
But the girls were out Monday. Like the girls went out. Cindy and I believe Cindy and Crystal went out that Monday after the planting because there was a few plants that weren't planted due to the fact that we ran out of mulch, and they kept them, and then they said, we'll go back Monday with mulch, and the holes were already done, it's just a matter of putting them down. And that's when they were alerted, they alerted all of us to the fact that some plantings had been, for a lack of a better word, vandalized, pulled, removed, whatever.
They were gonna put cameras though.
And but since and they did tell us that they brought some of the plants back to Public Works to nurse them back to life, and that they were going to put them back and
Yeah.
plant them back. However, yesterday's visit was very disheartening. You know, it was good effort. There were all native plants that we planted to enhance the parking area that looks pretty bland. There is no reason the cenizo should, I mean, they all should have done, we've had plenty of rain since then. But there's no evidence of a plant being there, right? I mean, there's no evidence of a plant being there. And there's, where the trees were planted, the only reason why I know where to look is because we were there the day that the holes are made. We were there, we saw it. And then there's evidence of the mulch. You know, but there's no evidence of a tree. So I just wanted to make that comment. Well, we've tried. All right.
Están ahí en las streets.
Monday?
Se les han de llevar los de ahí del mismo colonia.
I don't know.
That's what I think.
Monday?
Que
You-
si los hicieron vandalize, que a lo mejor they took them out, los
And
van en
planted
the
'em.
street.
Yeah. Planted them down the street.
Yeah. En sus casas.
Yeah.
No, they were pulled out.
They were pulled out and left there. Some of them.
Oh.
Yeah, some of them.
Pulled them
Yeah.
They're dry.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But what we saw yesterday, there's no evidence of, you know, there's no evidence anymore that that they're laying around. And this was more far, if there's 20% left, that's a high number. There's not even probably 20% left. Like I said, it's mostly the frog fruit,
Well, we'll go back and plant some frog fruit.
right? I mean, it's a ground cover,
It's a
and
ground
we
cover and
saw
it's
the
pretty and
shoots,
it's-
and there was
yeah.
butterflies. She was like, look at the butterflies. Okay, well, let me just end with this last comment. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, July 16, 2019. Promise it to be a short meeting, and therefore afterwards we'll take a little public walking tour of downtown. I appreciate your efforts, Mr. Cano and Mr. Gamboa and Ms. Maricruz for being here. And Chris, thank you for manning the technical aspect back there. A lot of great ideas for us today, and I wanted to just leave you with this. It's an old Native American proverb. We don't inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. That's, I mean, think about it. All right, so I need, without anything else to discuss, I need a motion on the floor to adjourn this meeting, please.
My motion.
Okay, Mr. Santana moves and motions, and I need a second on the floor, please.
I'll second.
Mr. Carranza seconds the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Looks like this meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much, gentlemen and ladies, for your
Thank you.
presence today. Thank you.